So I said, send me to Virginia. Now I was thinking travel pay. That's the furthest trip. If I could have gone to El Paso, that's just about the same distance, a little further. I think the man upstairs had something to do with it. Came in, turned in my PE gear, sat down over there. You always had a cold sodas or a beer. I was sitting there having a beer. This car drove up. You could drive in there right up to the hangar, that hangar was part of the oil room and the PE shop. And this car drove up, and it was Al's car, the black 56 four-door hardtop. It was a nice little car there. And I recognized Eddie Felder because he got out, walked around toward the shop. And as I walked to the car, I see this young lady sitting there. And I hadn't seen her before. And I thought, well, maybe it's Eddie's girlfriend. One way I'm going to find out. So I did. I woke up and said something. She didn't take too kindly to my first greeting. So I kind of took that as a intelligence. You know, she don't know me from Adam. I don't know her. That was the first time I met her. One of my most memorable days with the Negritos. They fixed us a going away buffet just out of the jungle. Nothing out of the can, nothing out of the package. Our utensils was bamboo and plates for banana leaves. They had some good stuff. Everything from mangoes, pineapples, rabbits. We flew night missions only. We rarely flew in the daytime except maybe going up to the train headquarters and coming back, or going to another base for whatever reason, or leaving another base after a night and coming into our base during the daytime. We get high enough to stay out of small arms fire. Now, they tried to schedule us with a day off and a mission night. Sometimes you didn't want 2 days off. It was just that boring. I started working at the Institute Club just to have something to do. This mission was kind of unique to me because I could always remember what area we're in, I Corps, 4 Corps, south, north, mid, or whatever. And we had a lot of missions that went a lot of ways. But this mission, it was just normal. And one of the things they told me when I first got to Benoit was that Loadmaster, I didn't show you pictures of where you have to ride. Anyhow, Loadmaster standing in that rear door, got hit right up here somewhere. And I saw that. Anyhow, that was just to indoctrinate me, I guess. It kind of bothered me because I'm standing wide open there. There's a gun right next to me. There's a flare box on my left. There's a flare launcher next to where that box is, but we never used it. You don't take 2 flares at a time. And it was awkward to use because there's no space back there. The airplane comes, swells out, we're going toward the tail, it's crowded back. Engineer behind me, we're bumping into each other a lot. When he's handing me a flare out of the box, which is to my left, he'd take it out and set it and hand it to me. And I got a little lanyard. I just throw it out and pull that arming pin. It would set off to shoot, and then the ignition would come on wherever you want to set it, because it just kind of floats down. Anyhow, we're on airborne alert, I believe. You know, we've got an alert on the ground, 1 airborne, and chances are there's a spooky on target somewhere. Since we had Pleiku, Da Nang, Vung Tau, I think we had another group somewhere. Of course, Benoit. But there was always spookies. As a matter of fact, we flew some 60,000 combat missions during the time the spookers were operating up there. And we never lost an outpost or anything that we went to defend. It was never overrun. We could stay on target for 5, 6 hours. Okay, we're up and we're busy. It's noisy. Air is blowing through the aircraft. We're blacked out. Rotating beacon up top is the only thing you see. And part of that is blacked out, so you have to be away from it to see it. You couldn't look up and see. You could hear us. And the problem was the Sandy made almost the same noise that we did, except Sandy was fast. That's a little A-1E, which is a World War II fighter bomber. So these guys would take pot shot at us. And it's like the FACs. You might have heard of the FACs guys. These little Cessna airplanes go out and draw fire and call in the fighters. They get some ground fire over here and they put that smoke bomb and they get out of the way because he's got these fighters coming in. Anyhow, we would look for that kind of activity. Oftentimes, the Army or Marine patrol has gotten hemmed in someplace and they need us to keep Charlie's head down so they can get the heck out of Dodge, if you will. And this night we were going. We had the 3 guns on line more than not often. Usually we use just one, depending on the grade of the targets. And I think this time we had found some sampans, but see, Charlie had a little North Vietnamese. Charlie, that's a VC. They knew that we would have to call in. That was one of the fallacies in the way we operate that program. They'd have to call in to headshed. Headshed have to get in touch with the province commander or chief that we can engage in his province. And that takes sometimes 15, 20 minutes. Occasionally it would come right back to us. But, the radio and the stuff we had, it wasn't fast. By that time, they'd pull the sampans over, unload all the ammo and whatever they were carrying. Leave it out. We could bust the boats, but that don't cost them. They can make those out of bamboo sticks. But we had kind of caught Charlie this time was kind of surprised. And we were lighting up a big area. I was putting flares out as fast as I almost called the kid's name. Could time it for me. And this one, it gave this sort of a boof. And I look back, and it's this whole thing back there is full of parachute. And now, knowing what we were setting them at, 10 seconds ain't a long time. Now, somewhere under that chute is a flare that's going to go off. It'll burn in a rice paddy. That's how hard it burned up. 20,000 candle power. It's like phosphorus, white phosphorus. So I got in that much room, and the engineer is over there trying to get out of that chute because it knocked him back against it. In fact, it knocked him out. And I knew what happened by just the sound of it and a gut feeling. So I'm grabbing his chute, trying to double it up and get past the gun, get it off. I'm assuming, I'm hoping that it's going to follow if I can pull enough chute and cord out and get it off. Well, I did that, and I threw the darn thing out, and the chute should have gone out with it, but it didn't. The flare went out, and the chute, I'll have to show you that way that thing is made. There's 2 doors at that C-47. You take one door and you put a gun there. This door you leave on. Okay, that aircraft has a little bit of a space down there. There's not. And that chute went out, that flare went out, and hit in that slipstream. That chute jammed beneath that door. No, I'm grabbing the first thing I can hold on to, and I'm hanging out there doing this. There's probably a dozen shroud lines I got to cut. It'd be nice to cut them all at once, but you can't gather them up that way. I got to hold in with one hand and cut shroud lines and let them pop loose as it goes. And I could tell I was getting pretty good. That's because the chute was starting to flare out. And just as I got that chute, and this stuff is coming, I don't know how I kept my headset on with all that noise and stuff I had. I was fully dressed. I had everything I needed, but we were kind of low for bailing out at that thing. Anyhow, And that thing is floating between the horizontal stabilizer or the aileron back there, well, stabilizer. And what many people don't know is from about half of that back is fabric. It's not aluminum like the modern airplane. And that flare's kind of floating up and down. And I'm looking at that flare and I'm cutting these lines. And I'm holding my breath, I think. Finally got that lashing off. And just as it started to come up, and just a big flash. Now, I know Charlie saw all of that. And as it floated away, it didn't float away, it actually went away. It had part of the chute. It's like a, what they call it? They used to call it a Bay West. When you shoot, don't fully deploy. And somebody grabbed me in the belt and pulled me back in. I don't even remember who that was. And somebody stuck a cigarette in my mouth. And I'm not a regular smoker, but I took a big drag on that cigarette. And that's the only one I took, I think. And that was the only time in my life of smoking, which was short, that I ever really enjoyed a cigarette. We left the target area because I think we declared some kind of emergency. Went back to home base, and folks in there talking to me like, I didn't pay much attention to it, all in the day's work. When and how and what were you thinking? But we're just so glad you got that thing from that airplane, because we may not be here talking about this right now. That didn't register on me. I didn't think much of awards and decks like that. I wasn't trying to duplicate it either. I was just trying to do what and some say, you saved an aircraft with a full crew. And I used to say sometimes, well, I saved myself too. But look at what you did to save that, hanging out of that airplane. One little slip or one little loss of grip. The airplane probably would have still gone down, and you'd gone down sooner. It was awarded a DFC while I was on the AC-47.
And the DFC stands for?
Distinguished Flying Cross. And award-wise, when I got to Japan, there's a DFC awarded for some flights. Not to be picky or whatever, but the flight that we got the DFC for, I think, paled in comparison with some of the missions we flew into Quezon when it was under siege. Quezon was in such big trouble that they had busted up the runway so we couldn't land there. There were some aircraft parts. There was a 130 hit by mortar fire on the ramp. So we had to do CDS, container delivery system. Those little bundles you send out a dozen at a time. We were loaded with what they call a LAPS, low altitude parachute extraction. In other words, I've got a picture of it. This is a pallet, usually about a 25,000 pound pallet, loaded. Has a pilot chute on it, then a main chute. The pilot chute function is to deploy outside the aircraft, drag the main chute out, let the main chute deploy. When that deploys, the tail end of the aircraft's full. You don't see anything but chute. Okay, that pallet didn't move, and now I've got one handle here and one handle here, and I'm pulling for all I'm worth. That's the emergency release mechanism I'm trying to, and that pallet hadn't moved yet. And they're hollering, fish, fish. I can't answer, I can't let anything go. And just finally, the pallet, I could feel the jerk. It'd go making a big noise, rumbling out of that airplane. And when it cleared the aircraft, I said, clear. Somebody said, I can tell, because that airplane must have leaped 100 feet. And another statement that Scott made said, where did all those birds come from? What was the navigator's name? I can't think of his name. He said, those aren't birds. That's anti-aircraft.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was popping out here. Looked like little birds flying out. And we had to make that steep turn. I still haven't closed the aircraft when I said clear. And the problem is you got to go all the way back to the rear end of the aircraft. That's where the control switch is on the old model doors. Now, they may have it up front. I would hope so. I got to zig it back there. I got my chute and everything and start closing that door. You know, the top doors got to come out, the ramp doors got to meet. And they're making this steep turn to miss this mountain ahead of us because they're too low to pull over it. So I'm holding on and I'm trying to talk. And for a minute there, it was hairy. I mean, it was something. And I thought, they must forgot to write that up. But, you know, at the end of the day, we got the stuff that they needed. I worked out here at the Auto Hobby Shop, it's called, Skill Center. And I always talk to guys that show up in flight suits or fatigues with wings on, you know, loadmasters, pilots, and so forth. And I've been talking to this kid. Where's a kid? Here's a kid. Everybody's a kid. That's me. And he came to me one day and says, "What's your last name?" I said, "Fisher." What's the first name's on a uniform. He said, "I got something you need to see." So about 2-3 days later, he came back and he brought his PFE study guide. And the article that's in it is one I got in here about me and that flare episode. And that got back to the public affairs office out here on base. And then I started getting some calls. "Can we come up and talk to you?" A career in the military is not for everyone. It's just like being a brain surgeon or whatever. But I think it's a good stepping stone or a starter. There are things you learn in the military, like how to work as a team, how to, consideration for your fellow man, love for your country, respect for each other. All these things come in a big package when you spend time in the military.